I mean, how do you not like lemon curd? If someone says that they don't like lemon curd, they're a sociopath, and you should just run. Run for the hills. Get out of there. Hey, welcome back to the channel. Today, I'm going to show you guys how to make lemon curd. Although lemon curd might be a little bit daunting, it's actually pretty easy. And as promised, we're going to peek inside my personal recipe book, and I'm going to show you guys my recipe and how I make it. Nothing too terribly difficult tool-wise you need for this. You do need like a chinois or fine like strainer, but if you don't have one, I'll show you what to do without one. And if you have a microplane, that would be better for zesting your lemons, but mine's at work, so I'm just going to use a box grater, the back end of a box grater. So let's just hop right into this. First step you want to do is you're going to want to take your eggs out so that way they become room temp, and that'll help make your custard cook a little bit faster. So as you pull your eggs out, I'm going to get a pot of water going. We want to bring it up to a boil, and then we're going to reduce it down to a simmer. Make sure you have a bowl that sits pretty comfortably on top. We're gonna cook it using double boiler method, right? So just something that sits and traps the steam underneath the bowl. But make sure as we fill up our pot with water that the water doesn't touch the back end of the bowl. Okay, now that we got our water going, we're gonna bring all of our ingredients into our bowl. So you want to put your sugar in your bowl, and then you want to mix in your eggs. But since I'm halving the recipe, obviously half of 11 is 5.5. You want to use the yolk and not the egg on that half egg, right? So I'm gonna bring that together in here. Doesn't have to be anything too spectacular. Just bring them together. From here, we're just gonna zest half of our lemons and pop it in. And when we are zesting this, make sure we're just getting the zest and not the rind. Now, if you don't have a chinois or a fine strainer, we actually want to skip this step. Next, all we're going to do is just juice all of our lemons into our mixture. Personally, I'm not going to strain the seeds out as I juice it because I'm going to strain it afterwards, and it's just one extra step. I also broke my little like yellow juicer thingy, my bobber. So I'm going to do this by hand. Okay, now that we've juiced all of our lemons into our egg sugar mixture, let's go ahead and fully incorporate that. Now that we have this fully incorporated, let's go ahead and put that on our pot of boiling water, but we want to bring that all the way down to a simmer because if we cook it too fast or it gets too hot underneath, the eggs will curdle and break, and then you'll have like an eggy lemon mixture, which obviously we don't want. So let's go ahead and pop that on there. As it heats up, we're going to have to keep a better eye on it and continuously stir it so that way it's always moving and doesn't curdle and break. But since we just popped it on there, we can kind of let it do its thing for a couple minutes. And while it's doing its thing, you want to get another bowl that we're going to strain into or pour our mixture into another bowl. So that way it's not hot and it stops the cooking method, right? And you want to take your butter, and it doesn't have to be anything fancy, and just cut it up into chunks. Pop it into our bowl. This will also, as we strain it into here, the cold butter will, or room temp butter, will help stop the cooking method. So that way the eggs just don't overcook. Yeah. I'm just going to set my chinois in here or a strainer on top, however you want to do it. And then we're going to move over here and cook our custard down. Curd, whatever. Okay, our curd really hasn't been on here for that long, so it's still pretty cold. But you know, you want to keep an eye on it, keep it moving. The biggest thing here, as it starts to get warmer, is to consistently make sure we're scraping the bottoms and scraping the sides. Because otherwise, if our mixture sits up on the sidewall like this, right up here, right? I think you can see that, yeah, up here, it'll start cooking the egg up on the sidewall. So the whole point is just to keep it moving, right? And then I'll come back around and I'll scrape the side, and then move in, and scrape the side. But like I said, as it's still cold, we don't need to consistently mix it until it heats up a little bit. Okay, now that our curd here is starting to warm up and I'm starting to see a little bit of steam come off mine personally, I'm just going to stay on it from here on out. Should be about another 20 minutes. Like I said, this would be the most time consuming part about making lemon curd, is just sitting here and making sure that it doesn't break. Um, and like I said before, you just want to make sure that you're scraping the bottom and getting everything off the bottom. And what we're looking for is our custard or curd to nappe, hold a line on a spatula, but I'll show you that as we get there. So just stay on your curd and make sure it doesn't break. This foam that's coming off the top, the bubbles, don't worry about it. It will incorporate in as our curd thickens up. Also remember, we're cooking this on the lowest factor, right? My water's not even boiling. It's just a steam. Okay, we've been mixing for about 10 minutes now. I wouldn't say it's done just yet, but a good factor is we can definitely see the consistency of it. And as we spin, our curd holds it, continues to go, right? Or if you throw it up on the sidewall a little bit, it slowly comes back down, right? It's starting to hold. But this still needs a few more minutes, so just make sure we're staying on it here. Okay, so we've been mixing for about 18-20 minutes now on the stovetop, and it's definitely come together. What you want to do is take your spatula, right? Draw a line, right? And if it holds, like so, nappe, as the French would say. I'm not French, so I can't do it. But yeah, that's what we're looking for. So let me go ahead and change camera angles, and I'll show you what to do next. Okay, now that our lemon curd is definitely done over the stove, right? All I'm gonna do, bring it on over, and just pour it straight into our strainer, right? Get out all that zest, any seeds. If it curdles at all on you a little bit, this is where it definitely helps to strain it to definitely get a little bit of those egg yolks out. And even just changing camera angles. Look, I stepped away from it for a second, and it definitely just curdled on the bottom. So I'm not going to scrape that into there. But everything on top of that was fine. So that's how important it is to stay on it while it's cooking and to not leave that bottom over the steam. Because otherwise, that's what you're going to get, right? Well, now all we're going to do is just fully incorporate our butter. Just mix it until our butter melts and make sure it doesn't separate from our curd. And just bring it all together. Okay, now that we've incorporated our butter, we're good. It's good to go. The last little thing that we're gonna have to do is just let it cool down. Now, it might seem like, oh, it's watery, it's runny, it's not thick enough. But I promise you, after 24 hours of sitting in the fridge, once it cools down, I made this one yesterday. Fork. I mean, there we go. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. But some little tips on this. If we're making like tarts or any kind of like fancy dessert or whatever, or if you want to jar it or whatever, make sure that we pipe or putting it into our tart shells while it's still like slightly warm will help it like level and keep a nice perfect level on it versus like putting it in there cold and then you having like little like ribbons on top. But if you like this video, if you have any comments or questions, leave them in the comment section below and I'll get to you. And make sure you subscribe and look out for the next one. The next one, I'm actually going to be making tart dough, and I'm going to use the lemon curd to make lemon tarts. So make sure you subscribe and look out for the next video. Thanks for checking me out. See you on the next one. You can put this in ice cream, waffles, tart shells, crepes, I mean, whatever, or you can just, eat spoonfuls of it like I do. Strawberries too. This is what liquid gold looks like. If you need this cold sooner, a little trick, you could just do like a double, like an ice, like bowl of ice, and then your custard and another bowl on top, and like cool it down a lot faster. But otherwise, you just want to let this sit overnight for 24 hours. And then eat spoonfuls of lemon curd as your heart desires.